And we kind of signed the contract and did the deal. And I feel like if I didn't do it right then and there, I would have talked myself out of it because I would have been so intimidated and overwhelmed with the idea and almost kind of like living up to this reputation of, you know, being a published author or whatever. Like it just has this aura about it, right? And it feels weird. I hid the fact that I wrote a book for a really long time because I couldn't own it. So I don't know if you had the same experience, but that's what it was like for me. So only in the last, I would say half a year or so did I really kind of start admitting that I was an author. And I remember this one funny story. My friend and I were at a coffee shop and I was telling her how intimidated I was to admit that I was an author. And so she starts talking to the barista and she's like, do you know my friend is an author, just to kind of put me on the spot? I said, I'm never taking you anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soft Selling. And today I have my friend Dela from Dela's Voice. And recently Dela and I were talking, and we have been talking about how many people have been saying that they want to write a book and how during this pandemic time would be the most ideal time to actually write a book because a lot of people are looking for a project, looking for things to do. But what I really wanted to talk about is, you know, maybe some business owners are not even aware of what the book can actually do for them and why they would want to write a book in the first place. And I think that's something that, you know, we're going to discuss during this video, and Dela's going to share her experience and then also how to actually go about writing a book, because that could be a very overwhelming topic. So welcome, Dela.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Milana. Thank you for asking me.
First of all, I just wanted you to share your story about your book and, you know, how you came about becoming an author.
Sure. Well, I wrote my book because I wanted to bring out my story. It was a way for me to bring out my journey and my experiences and what I did in my life to help me get to where I am today. But at the same time, it was something I really wanted to do. It was like on my bucket list. And I always knew that writing a book will take me to a whole new level. And that's exactly what it did for me. And it was, as you know, writing a book, the whole process seems like such a big deal. It seems very scary. It seems like, you know, an ordeal. But honestly, once you start, it just comes to you, and you just got to go with the flow. You know, when you become an author, it's just a different authority level. You know, you have more recognition because you have published a book, you have published your work, your words are out there. It's a legacy that you leave forever.
Absolutely. And, you know, they say writing a book is kind of like having a business card on steroids.
Yeah.
So if you are in a very competitive industry, like let's say, for example, real estate or even photography, if you are the business owner with a book, that kind of takes your business again to the next level. And that trust, that know, like, and trust factor is really there.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. I only published my book about 3 months ago. But I've seen such big changes in the way I portray myself as a talk show host. When I say I'm a best-selling author, it's just a different level altogether. It's fantastic.
So you're referring to maybe your own self-confidence in terms of how you feel about yourself?
Not only that, but I think also just the way that other people look at you, it's totally different. It has changed my business. Totally.
Awesome.
What has been your experience, Milena?
Well, I think that, you know, in the beginning, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to write about, but I've always been very passionate about marketing and sales. So I ended up writing The Art of Soft Selling, which is my book right here. And what I wanted it to do for me is to become a lead magnet, right? Because I was looking for leads. So I really wanted to give something valuable that people can kind of get to know me and get value from before they ever considered working with me. Because I was, you know, doing high ticket sales, I was doing marketing, I was doing social media marketing. So having a book, right, it kind of not only can you raise your prices really, but also, again, with such a competitive market out there, people take you more seriously when you
Sure.
actually have a book. So it kind of opens a lot of doors and possibilities that maybe a lot of people are not even aware of,
So
right?
true. So true.
Yeah.
So speaking of the opening doors, ever since I've become a published author, I've been asked to speak. Actually, I was recently on a very big stage, which was amazing because I don't think I would have ever gotten that opportunity come my way had it not been because I was a published author.
So one of the things that, why people want to write a book is to get these speaking opportunities. So
Mhm.
tell me from your experience, like what are the benefits of actually getting these speaking opportunities?
So again, it's that visibility, putting yourself out there in front of more people. More and more people will get to hear you. They'll hear about your name. You can direct them to your website, to your page on social media. It's an easy way to get your name out there because now you're in front of people. You get to speak about your business, but also bring awareness to whatever it is you want to talk about, whether it's your book, you want to talk about your book, you want to talk about what it is you do, your business, your services. It's just such a great advertising ability to be able to speak in front of people. And the bigger the audience, the better.
Absolutely. And I think it also makes it easier for you to approach potential speaking opportunities. So not just having them come to you, but with your experience, like how did your speaking opportunity come about?
And my coach invited me to write a chapter in this book, which is this book, Turning Point 2020. And so I was a co-author in the book. I was also interviewing all these speakers that were going to be on Turning Point 2020. And as a result, the organizer saw my work. He asked me to be on the speaking panel. And so I was. I had about half an hour and I spoke to over 1 million people, Milena. It was a great opportunity for me. This is another thing I wanted to mention, that if the idea of writing a whole book is too big of a deal, there is that opportunity of contributing a chapter. So becoming a co-author in a book, I think that's a great step to take if someone is intimidated by the idea of writing a whole book.
Another way that you can use your book is if you actually want to get in touch with someone, let's say a certain company, or you're doing some kind of online work, you can actually mail a physical copy of your book to that person to get your foot in the door. So
Oh,
that's
that's
a very like different and creative way of,
yes.
again, standing up. And the thing is, people don't throw books away like they do with a business card or something like that. It is something very tangible. So
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that is a benefit. Now, when it comes to actually writing the book, for me, I know that it was a very kind of tedious and difficult journey to actually sit down and write. So I remember I was kind of going through all these different ways of trying to write the book, from actually writing it out on physical paper with a blue pen to typing it out to dictating it. But I think that for me personally, what really worked was kind of outlining the entire book. First of all, outlining what the chapters are going to be, and then within the chapter, outlining the 5 to 10 key points of each chapter. So that way I was very organized, because when you sit down and you don't have a game plan on how to write it, it can seem like, it's what's that saying? How do you eat an elephant? It's like one bite at a time. But I think you have to look at the entire elephant first and say, okay, where am I going to start with the ear? And, it has ears, it has a trunk, it has this. So same thing with a book. It's like you need that whole skeleton to know, how to organize yourself in the first place. And then whether you decide to write it or whether you decide to dictate a part of it, it doesn't matter, because you can put all these chunks together and then do the complete version.
Mm-hmm.
And so how was it for you when you were actually writing the book? Like, what did you find the most effective strategy?
To be honest with you, your strategy sounds really great. It sounds very organized, but unfortunately, it wasn't like that for me. I think when I started to write my book, I just started writing because I just knew that I wanted to put my story down. So what I did was I actually started each chapter with a quote of something that really spoke to me. And so I chose the quotes based on the topic of the chapter I was writing. And that really helped me, I think, pinpoint, because I started with a point, and it was like a full circle at the end of the chapter. I came back to that same quote, to the same point. So that's the way I did it.
That makes a lot of sense. And again, structurally with the book, what you need to keep in mind is you need the title, the subtitle, which is the title underneath the title. Mm-hmm. And then in the back, you need the blurb about, what the book is about, and also a little bit about you and who you are. Mm-hmm. So those are another couple of things to just keep in mind.
Yes. And also, I always thought, when I write a book, my acknowledgement page, what is it going to be? Who is it going to be thanking? And so I always had that in mind. So that was a big part for me, because I needed to thank all these people who have helped me, which is great because they read the book and they really, really appreciate having their name on there. So that was another part that was really fun for me to do. But definitely.
You know what? You actually sparked something that I remember even, I think my publisher told me this, that if you are looking to kind of, again, get your foot in the door somewhere, or somebody you're trying to reach and they're kind of, high up there and hard to reach, to actually write something nice about them in your book. Mm-hmm. Right? Because then you can gift them the book and say, I mentioned you in the book, and they'll be so flattered, right? So I cannot give you the opportunity to speak to them, right? So look at that as a strategy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So how did you pick the name of your book, Milena?
So it was actually an interesting story. I was actually working for my publisher at the time, and we were kind of traveling around the world, and we were putting on these workshops for authors. And that's when he presented me with the idea of having my own book. And as soon as he presented the idea, I thought, this is a great opportunity. Like, I'm going to take it. And then we started talking about what I wanted to write about. I was very passionate about sales. I still am. And I said, we threw out some ideas. And basically, I was sitting in the back there with the CEO, and we came up with the title, The Art of Soft Selling. And he goes, I love it. And he took out the contract right away, and he started writing it all out. And I said, whoa, did I commit to this? What's happening, right? But what was really great about that is that he pretty much made the decision. We said, we're going to stick with this. And we kind of signed the contract and did the deal. And I feel like if I didn't do it right then and there, I would have talked myself out of it, because I would have been so intimidated and overwhelmed with the idea, and almost kind of living up to this reputation of, being a published author or whatever. It just has this aura about it, right? And it feels weird. I hid the fact that I wrote a book for a really long time because I couldn't own it. So I don't know if you had the same experience, but that's what it was like for me. So only in the last, I would say, half a year or so did I really kind of start admitting that I was an author. And I remember this one funny story. My friend and I were at a coffee shop, and I was telling her how intimidated I was to admit that I was an author. And so she starts talking to the barista, and she's like, do you know my friend is an author, just to kind of put me on the spot? And I said, I'm never taking you anywhere.
Oh my God, isn't that interesting? I mean, it's so interesting. But because, okay, imagine if your friend had a book published.
I'd be shouting at the rooftops.
Would you be of her, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, not everybody can say they've published a book. This is a big deal, right? To have your words printed on something that is going to be there forever. It's a big deal, right? And so, I mean, I always wanted to do this. This was my dream, to have a book published. So I know that I had my own doubts while I was writing the book, and that, who's going to want to read my story, right? What would make me so special? What do I have to say that hasn't been said before? Who's ever going to want to read this? All these things we say to ourselves. But at the end of the day, the way you tell your story, the way you bring a message out is so different than the way someone else or 1,000 other people have said it already. Someone will listen to you that's heard it 100 times, but really never heard it until they heard it from you. So no, I'm totally proud. I'm so proud of writing this book and publishing it. And I tell everybody, every single person has a book in them.
A lot of people have been saying, not a lot of people read books, and there is some truth to that. So if people are actually intimidated about writing a book, just know that many people don't even get past the first chapter. Okay. So if you have any qualms about it, just the fact that you have a book is important. I'm not saying to skimp on the quality of what you're writing about, but just don't be afraid of it.
Don't be afraid.
Because again, a lot of people won't even end up reading it, but just the fact that they have it, right? I think my own family hasn't even read my book, or my best friend, or most people.
My mom,
they have a copy.
My mom was the first person to read my book. Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't matter what you say in your book. It's going to hit home with someone. And isn't that at the end of the day, what is, for me, truly my purpose was, okay, if I can inspire one person with this story, I'm sure your book has so much to offer, Milena. If you could help just one person, if one person reached out to you and said, Milena, your book, Art of Soft Selling, helped me in my business, helped me get over some real roadblocks, wouldn't that be so great? I mean, right? Wouldn't that make you happy?
Yes, absolutely. And I've actually had people that I've met abroad, and they ended up buying a copy of my book. I always carry a couple just in case, and I always end up selling out. What's that?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, because they want it for the plane ride home, and then they tell me or they message me whenever they've landed, hey, I read your book. I'm like, you actually read it? I hope it was good. Yes. And I've never gotten that negative feedback that I was so afraid of getting in the first place. Like, they never said it was terrible or there was no point. They said, oh, you know what? It was very good. It was concise. It was to the point. And also what I'm thinking of as well that my book has done is I always talk about, creating long form content for social media marketing. So if you create a YouTube video or a blog or something like that, and then you kind of piece it, like you take little bits of it. If you write an entire book, that is almost a year's worth of content that you can use on your social media.
You're so right. And I'm so bad at that. I need to get into the habit of repurposing content, because you're so right. You spent so much time creating this fantastic, valuable, long piece of content, and to repurpose it would be amazing. Good for you.
I'm just giving it away for free. Like it's you can get it. I'll actually leave a link at the bottom of this video. If you guys want to just click the arrow below, you just get it for free, because I want to kind of build my reputation with my audience. I want people to, understand me, know me, like me, absorb my content. And if they like it, they'll want to absorb more. Because for me right now, I just really want to build that audience and kind of spread the message out there. And a lot of people, the first reason why I wanted to write a book on sales is because I think that people have a very negative idea about what sales is and what it means to sell. And in my book, I talk about, it coming from love, coming from service, wanting to help and support, as opposed to, manipulate or give somebody something that they don't need. Because sales is necessary, and it's necessary in business. And through some of my market research, I found that most people were more focused on marketing rather than sales. But they kind of go hand in hand, right? Yeah. So you have to know both. And if they can just change their mindset, which is just chapter number 1, if they could just even read the first chapter about changing the mindset around sales, it'll increase their confidence, because it'll shift that mindset of, selling is a sleazy, manipulative thing to do, to this is something that is service and it's coming from love. And I'm actually helping this person by, helping them find whatever it is, or solving the problem that they came to solve, right?
But it's something you said about editing that I wanted to touch on. And so for a lot of people, that's a big hurdle, because they might think, oh, I don't know the grammar, I just want to say that I went through a publisher. So the editor came with the publishing service, and it was the best thing because I didn't have to worry about that part. I didn't have to worry about the formatting and all the technical stuff. All I needed to concentrate on was to actually write the book and finish it. And so that, like, it's important for people to know that that's available. Publishing services are available, and there are many people. And I mean, you do the research. There's a lot of good ones out there, that will do the whole process from, all you have to do, write the book, send it to them, and they'll take care of the rest, even to putting it up on Amazon. So it's important for people to know that if they've never done this before, it might be a little bit intimidating.
Absolutely. And, you know, Della and I both talked about having a publisher, so we both chose that route. But people can even self-publish if they want to. And then all the things that they don't know how to do, they can go on Fiverr and Upwork and, you know, just find people to help them out with the things that, you know, they need help with. And sometimes you can even ask your friends to do some of your editing, which I did. I actually asked some of my friends to proofread some of the things, to just get an opinion. So my publisher always says, you know, get it down and then get it right. So I think that that was a huge thing for me. It was just about like, get it out of your brain and onto paper, and then you can muck around with it afterwards.
Because if you're looking for perfection, it's never going to happen.
No.
Right? But yeah, you're right. You can self-publish, and I know a lot of people who've done it, and they've done a great job at that.
Cool. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks again to Della for co-hosting this with me. And if you have any questions, please comment in the comments below and ask us any questions. Or if this has inspired you to want to write a book, please say that in the comments below. And I really hope it has, because honestly, it is a journey, but there's so many benefits. And any other last words?
Honestly, no. I want to commend you, Milena. Thank you so much for everything you do, for helping people out with, you know, just all the videos that you put on YouTube. Fantastic, so helpful, amazing, useful, straight to the point. You're an awesome person. Thank you for doing this. You're going to inspire a whole bunch of people. And thanks for asking me to be on here.
Aw, thank you so much. All right, everyone. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.